Starting now. Well, it's Saturday morning, and I have an out-of-town special guest, special visitor, Patrick Facemire, whose artwork inspires me to learn how to draw. And I have some pens, and we're going to play around with them, and Patrick will give you his impressions of the pens, and I will try to not sway his thought processes too much.
I've often found it's very difficult to get impressions of pens right because they do not talk.
They don't talk.
They don't talk. And so
oh, I see. So
it's really a game of mimicry.
Mimicry.
So
okay.
what I do is I'll put some ink on my tongue, and then I will lick the paper and see if I can get different line variations. Now, what's this one?
This is the one that you had played with before. This is one of the ones I sent you. So I'm just, because you've actually used this one before, I'm giving this to you. And this is one that you chose not to get, but sometimes, now that they're in your hands, after ignoring them for a while, you might change your mind. I'm not trying to sell you any of these pens, by the way. I'm not doing that. But I just wanted. So
Don't
this
lie
one
to me, Pierre.
is this. How do you what is the impression of this pen that you get? What sort of?
I don't know whether it's the ink, but it's surprisingly quick on the draw.
Bump bump. I need my little symbols and.
Unfortunately, we do not have them, but that doesn't matter.
Well, it's surprising I don't, because I have everything else in the house.
It gets quite a nice amount of line variation.
Yeah, it's that one I sent to you because it has sort of a very sturdy nib, and I knew that it wasn't going to cause problems by you pressing down too much, because I think that it gives you enough feedback to keep you from wanting to do that. Sometimes Watermans, which I think is your favorite so far, they're a little bit fragile.
Yeah.
Feeling. They'll last for 100 more years. They've already lasted 100, and they'll last for 100 more. But there's just a slight, because they're flexible, they're, quote, weaker, and you just have to be mindful of it. So this, I'm just handing you this one. Now, this is a different kettle of fish. It's a Schaefer pen, and it has a very fine nib. I think it's very smooth. Schaefer pens like that I often will hand to lefties, so that when they draft their Pinko commie plot against, they can do it without scratching the paper. It's very smooth. Is that a thumb you're drawing? It is a thumb. Well, this one's various.
Yeah,
thumbs.
this one's. You got various
digits. Okay.
So I figured,
And this is an alligator sort of thing.
Sort of like I was thinking like, let's do a combination of an elephant and a terrible pig. And
okay, I guess I see the pig.
I'm just working on.
Patrick's artwork, which you should look at under Patrick Facemire on Instagram, is a full range of things, from realistic representations of things that are in front of him to things that only exist in his deep, dark mind.
Is that what we want to call it?
That's what we'll call it.
That's what we'll call it, I guess.
So what are your impressions on that, other than being smooth?
Well, it is nice and thin and smooth. It's a bit smoother than the Waterman. I'm not sure. It might not have quite the same amount of flex as the Waterman.
Well, no, it doesn't have any flex. That one. I mean, it goes from 0 to 1.
Right,
your Waterman will go from 0 to 5, I think. But it's just there are times when, like, here's the Parker 51, which is known for its Johnny one note. You can tell that it's...
What in the world is this?
Okay, it's a Parker 51.
I mean, it's just like...
a point.
They've just covered the thing so it can't move.
Yeah, well, that's what the 51 did. And what the 51 does that other pens don't do for me is it writes in a mathematical, pure sort of sense. So when I want to actually think or write without being distracted by flexibility, I'll use that pen. And a lot of people don't think that a pen like that has any value because it doesn't do the flexibility. But I find when I'm drawing with this pen too, it allows me to think. And I'll use this pen if I'm planning an exhibit or planning how I might choose to draw something. And you can flip this upside down and get a really, really fine line. And don't press down on it,
yeah,
of course,
obviously.
but it's just... See, I don't know if it's because of your mood at the moment, but you're drawing a little bit more staccato-y than you normally do.
Well, I find I have to do that with this pen.
With this pen, okay.
Because of that precision, it doesn't want to produce those nice, long, flowing lines.
Yeah, I mean, we were drawing in an antique shop yesterday and using China markers, grease pencils, and Patrick had made a serpentine, sinuous, is that the right word? Sensual line that not only had a beautiful curve, but it had a variety of pressure attached to it. And I told him that if I could teach my students to make a line like that, that's 90% of the battle right there, is to teach people to loosen up and to use the tool
the way the tool wants to
the way the tool wants to be. Now this is the love child of your Waterman and this Schaefer.
Okay.
So it's flexible but very fine at the same time. And it's really an interesting, it doesn't do really more than that.
Yeah.
But if you were pretend for a second it's you're sketching you're using a 2H pencil and you're just mapping out an idea for a composition.
Right.
And so this is where a pen like this comes in really, really handy, because the line that it makes, even though it's ink and it's permanent, you can't erase it, it is very much like a pencil to me. And I love nibs that are like that.
So let's sketch out a composition for a Madonna and Child, because
we saw lots of Madonna and Child's.
Well, you
children.
always do, and that's because
Oh, in art and I thought you meant at the antique shop.
In art, no, in the Madonna and Child at the antique shop, sure, but we also saw them at the museum at the MFA.
Yeah. Well, that was motif number one. That's what they all.
Well, that's what they all like, because everybody likes pictures of sexy mamas and their babies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay.
I mean, if you think about it, it makes perfect economic sense. Okay. I mean, if you show people a Byzantine mosaic, yeah, they're gonna think, wow, I'm such a nothing in front of this great and unreachable God,
the great and powerful Oz.
I don't think I will look behind that curtain.
Yes,
but they also say, yeah, but I don't really want it in my house.
Yeah,
I don't want to buy that.
But
then if you show them this sexy teenager who reminds them not only that they want to have sex with teenagers, but that they had a mama once that loved them,
okay,
or something to that effect,
Well,
then they'll want to buy that, because everybody likes pretty women and babies. Everybody. I mean.
Okay, I'm raising my hand here. I beg to differ.
No. Everybody likes pretty women and babies.
Okay.
People who just are sentimental, people who miss their mothers, cannibals, all kinds of people.
Okay, all kinds of people. Okay. Well, when it comes to the Virgin Mary and the babe,
yeah.
I might prefer to look at a Byzantine mosaic with the Pantocrator at the top and the lightning bolts coming out, just because I find Madonna and Child's often a little bit too saccharine for me, even if they're painted
extraordinarily or clumsily
by they're just a little too sweet for me.
What about Michelangelo's Pietà?
Well, that has a dead guy in it.
Yeah,
so
it has a dead guy. It's still sort of a Madonna and Child.
It is, yeah.
Funny thing about that one that I always love telling people that I'm sure you've heard it before.
I don't know. Tell me, and I will hear it.
Well, I will. And Michelangelo has, in that sculpture, he depicted the Madonna, you know, this is after Christ's death. She should be an old lady. Yeah. She is not an old lady. No, she is very hot and very young.
She's still hot and young. Okay.
She's still hot and young, and the people pointed that out at the time. They said, Michelangelo, I like your sculpture, but, you know, this Madonna is way too young. I don't think this is the Virgin Mary. And he said, well, she's a virgin. And virgins virgins age very gracefully, he said.
See. Okay.
And so, yeah, that was his excuse.
I like that story. Okay, so you're now doing another virgin?
Yeah, you've got to have an audience.
Oh, I see.
Because that's how she knows she's a good mother. When people tell her, "Oh, you're such a good mother."
Okay. Well, we're gonna switch pens in a second.
Okay.
And we're also gonna switch a piece of paper. I didn't mean to use this page, but we're gonna move to this, which is a little smoother. Okay. Sorry.
So
Time is up.
More like a parchment paper.
Well, it's just smoother. It looks like parchment,
so
but it's smoother.
Pens,
we're going to switch pens.
Okay.
We're going to switch to this pen.
Right.
Now, this one is a 19th century dip pen nib that I placed into a more modern holder from 1900.
Now, how careful should I be?
You can be a little ballsy with this one, but okay, so now you're going up and down the driveway.
Yeah.
And what I did is I'm dipping these. I'm not filling any of these pens up. So that little extra blob that happened is probably because I dipped it. And also you're drawing staccato EE. Pretend that's your China marker again. There you go. See?
Yeah, but there's actually I think I can do this with this one. It's going to come out maybe a little bit. But I guess I just normally draw with a staccato line.
Yeah. Well, you didn't with the pencil drawings.
Well, it's so much softer. That's the thing. It encourages that.
I want you to pretend that this is one of those grease pencils. Treat this in the same softness as you would the other. Because now those of you at home might notice how differently Patrick is holding the pen, and I'm trying to figure out how and why this happens. But I describe the best way
early childhood trauma.
But what I'm getting, the best way I can describe how he holds the pen is how he would hold a dinner fork at a formal dinner.
Si mangia con gli occhi, questo perché.
Well, whatever that means.
Yeah.
I'm going to just take this from you for a second.
Oh, God damn it, Peter.
Okay.
That produces such a beautiful...
You can make a line that's that thick, but you have to... I mean, the way you're holding the pen like this, you have to do it only in this direction. You can't really do it anywhere else. So just be mindful of that, which I think you know already. But
I have to do it diagonally. That way it doesn't damage it.
Well, you have to... to make the thin line, you do it drawing the pen toward the back of the pen, not pushing it toward the front.
They really knew how to make pens in the 19th century.
It's like, when Peter draws.
Yeah, when Peter draws.
When Peter draws, he pushes the pen.
He pushes the pen into the pail of pickled peppers.
He pushes the pen usually upward. He draws up as much as he draws down. And I'm a draw downer for the most part, and you're a draw sidewayser for the most part.
I wouldn't call you a downer.
Well, but I draw differently. I draw by drawing the pen, like a horse draws a plow. And so now we've made a long-haired raven or crow
sort of like a raven who's going to, like, I don't know, a Leonard Skinner concert.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. So what if?
So what do you think about that pen?
I think I want this pen, but
Yeah.
I think it's out of my fucking price range.
It's out of your price range for the moment. Now I want you to try this pen. Now this is the one that this is like writing with a melted stick of butter on a really, really hot day, because it's almost a paintbrush, and I don't even know if it's going to work here. I think it's broken. I think I ended up breaking this. Never mind. Well, you can just feel the lack of resistance it's giving you.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah. See, it's something that you could very easily press down too hard and break. And I don't even know if it's a gold nib, or if it is, it's polluted by some other metals, because it's sort of tarnished. But it's really, really fun. I'll try to find one that isn't broken that does that same thing, because it's an interesting experience.